Welcome to the Hopemongers podcast. I am your host, Apaketo Anda, a licensed therapist and the author of Reflections of a Hopemonger. Hope is our theme, and helping you align yourself to your life's purpose is our goal. After listening, you will be educated, inspired, and elevated to unlock your own greatness. So please subscribe to this podcast, share it, and give us a good rating. Now, let's get started. Well, hello, and welcome to Hopemongers. You know, a recent guest on Hopemongers shared this quote with me that I have thought about often since then. And what she said was this: what children cannot see standing up, adults can see sitting down. And then another quote I love is this one here that says, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And so today I feel incredibly privileged to be joined by somebody who is an adult and a giant, Dr. Jemima Kankam. Dr. Jemima is a board-certified psychiatrist and a distinguished life fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. She graduated from the University of Ghana Medical School in 1975, and she practices in Maryland in the USA. She is a wife, a mother, a grandmother. She's a seasoned psychiatrist, a passionate mental health advocate, and just a compassionate mother to a large community of Ghanaian mental health advocates and persons with lived experience of mental illness. So let me just share a few more things from her resume. Dr. Kankam received the American Psychiatric Association 2020 Assembly Award for Excellence in Service and Advocacy. Dr. Kankam is also a Global Goodwill Ambassador. I call her Auntie Jemima. Auntie Jemima, welcome to Hopemongers.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you join this conversation. I know you have a full schedule, not only with work, but also with the time you generously give as a mental health advocate and educator. And one thing I've always said to you is I'm fascinated by your energy, your drive. You know, at a time in your life when honestly you could be sitting by a beach somewhere, just taking life cool and easy. You know, so welcome to Hopemongers again. Here at Hopemongers, we like to go beyond the resume. So tell us, who is Dr. Jemima? Tell us about you beyond the resume.
Okay, where do I start? I am an extrovert. You know, I've always been, here you say, hyper since childhood. You know, talkative. Growing up, I heard adults say, I think she'll be a lawyer because lawyers talk a lot and ask questions. So that's me. Where I am, I have to give credit to my mother, to start with my mother.
Right.
My mother never had a chance to go beyond elementary education, not because she couldn't make it, but because her parents couldn't.
Right.
So when she had her two children, I mean, we were every day, please learn for me. So that was drummed into our head. So I would say I'm not the type where I would say I have goals and reaching my goals. I think I've had advocates, talking about advocates all through my life. So I said I grew up in Nigeria because my dad taught in a secondary school there.
He was a teacher then?
Yeah, he taught English and Latin.
Wow.
So then when he retired, we were here in, here as if I'm in Ghana. We went back to Ghana, lived a little bit in Mfantipim because he taught in Mfantipim, and I went to Wesley Girls.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was a culture shock going from.
I can imagine.
Believe me, the bullying and all that was you know, that was something unusual. So anyway, you know, again, got friends, lots of friends, and thank goodness, you know, then I did science. Even though literature was my best subject, you know, did science, and So, how did I get into medical school?
That's what I'm wondering.
Okay, so on your show, I'm going to out myself.
Okay.
Out of a class of 12
Mm-hmm.
science students. And those days, if you did science, there was only one medical school, few class of 60, about five girls.
Yes.
So most people applied. Well, I now can look back and say part of the anxiety, I was afraid of ghosts.
Oh.
So I did not apply to go to medical school. I was going to do chemistry. And then in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
my uncle put me to work in pharmacy, actually at
Right.
the Nabraka Psychiatric
Mhm.
Hospital, so that I don't go dancing with others and go. So he said, I'll put you to work. And my boyfriend at the time, who was also in Legon, who
Okay.
must have, I'm thinking back now, must have heard me talking about, the patients coming, seeing them, how they walk around. Something he must have gone on his own. He initiated changing it.
Are you serious?
Still don't know how it happened.
The application to medical school.
I am still wondering how it happened, but he
Mm.
initiated it. And that's how, thank goodness, they hadn't done the interviews. So I was called, you know. And when I tell this story, of course, those close to me know the story. I add that when the first day of medical school, when the cadaver, that's your
Yes, the,
introduction.
the, the, the
I
bodies you work
wasn't the
on.
one who ran away from. It was my friend who ran all the way. So after all, it wasn't. But
It was
that's what we,
overcomable. But it's really interesting just how fate or whatever we
yes,
want to call
yes,
it, propelled you towards this. So
yes,
he
yes.
saw a passion in you with mental health patients and thought you need to, right? Am I right? Or
I don't know whether it was one or patients or medical medicine in general,
right, right, right.
so, and the first thing I said was, but I haven't told Mama and Papa, as
Wow.
if they tell me what to do,
What to
they,
do.
they support. So that's how I got into medical school. And, you know, um, after medical school,
Mm-hmm.
I worked, how it is in Ghana, you work for the ministries. I worked in Kumasi, which, everything one does
Mm-hmm.
in your journey
Mm-hmm.
seem to come to help you something. We did our housemanship in Kumasi, and
Right.
Kumasi wasn't the way it is now. It was another culture shock from us going from medical school to there, because it wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
medical school at that time. So there you worked hard. There were like hundreds of people, and you had to sort out, what is emergency, what is not. And the other thing is the culture in Kumasi at that
Mm-hmm.
time, you know, it's not how you treat someone, even if the outcome is bad, you still get acknowledged for it. It taught you beyond just your prescription, how you interact with others. And it still helps me to this day.
Right. I guess
So
the empathy with which you deal with your patient, the compassion.
exactly, exactly. So, and by the way, my husband is also class of 75. We both class of 75, Kolebu.
Okay, so I
I never knew I was going to marry my classmates.
okay.
So
So should I ask when the transition from the old boyfriend to new boyfriend happened?
I never thought about it that way. That when it happened, it happened when we were in housemanship. Okay,
Okay.
we worked so hard that it was one person works one day, the next day, and now I'm telling you everything. He was surprised. He was actually pleasantly surprised, because in medical school, like I said, I'm introvert. I love to dance, so sometimes I would cut classes to go and go have fun. So he first didn't want to work with me. He thought I would still be cutting work, and so he was so surprised how hard I worked that somehow it just happened. And
Wow.
so that's what happened. So I came here because he came
Mm-hmm.
to further his studies here, and I joined him, and that's where the story,
And
and
then to a whole
coming
new
here,
land.
how did
Hmm.
I get into psychiatry? Like many immigrants, sometimes, I would like to say I knew I wanted to do psychiatry. Now, somehow one thing led to another, and I found myself there. But again, now I look back. Sometimes it's after when you are walking through life or a
Hmm.
journey, you just going. When you
Hmm.
look back, is when you see things that you couldn't have seen, all through. When I look at my, the annual review, there was, you say, Jemima, is able to connect with even the sickest patient. It doesn't matter whether it's mental or something, and I think that's a gift. I hope that God gave me that when you can feel, almost feel what the other person is feeling. Sometimes it's a burden, but it's a
Absolutely.
blessing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so being there, I think God put me where I am, because I always say I cannot see myself in any other field. And sometimes people say, "What?" I said, "Yes, I think I have got more out of it than my patients."
And I think also because, and I know even though you practice in America, generally probably patients with mental health disorders are among the most stigmatized. So it's
Mhm,
just another indication of your level of compassion and
mhm,
empathy.
mhm,
And that's
mhm,
certainly one thing that shines through in everything you do. You truly care. And I know sometimes I ask myself, hey, she has energy. Oh, she really has energy. She really cares,
mhm.
you
That's
know.
how my mom used to spend my dollars. When I would send her money, she would call. My mother passed, but she would say, "Oh, Jemima, the money you sent me. I know you have compassion. I know if I tell you the story, you understand. I gave it to A, B, C, and D."
Wow.
But it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Mm,
I have been blessed. It's sometimes one of the things that even is confirmed to me in this profession is you see someone and you say they have it all made.
right.
No, but everybody, work you work hard, and sometimes there are stumbling blocks, and God has always put advocates,
Mm-hmm.
my way, friends. Why do I why do I feel the need even now to do
Mm,
as much in Ghana as possible? Now, Ghana has changed. In my time, myself, my husband, many of our classmates, but then, if education wasn't free, I would never be walking the grounds of Legon. My
right.
parents couldn't have afforded it. You didn't have to pay at that time, you know.
Mm,
So I look back now and I even feel like I owe Ghana. That's why anytime, I have the opportunity to do something, I owe it, to pay back, because many
wow.
people now could have been where I am if, they had the opportunity. So,
Mm. So to whom much is given, much is expected, and that is part of the reason why you continue
and I
to.
hope that's why God has left me on this earth.
That's amazing. That's
Yes.
just simply amazing. So that being said, in your own words, what drives you? What makes you wake up every morning and say, "All right, I'm gonna go"?
Well, first, my hyperactivity drives me. Those who know me well know that I would like to say this is the organized, but no. So I'm always on the run to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But my work is a big part, like what drives me to continue. My husband says, "I know you can't retire. It's not that you don't want, you can."
Mm,
I need that interaction just as much. Sometimes I feel like after I see someone, I said, I wish the world could hear and see what I see, you know,
mm,
because it's not people, I think it's coming and say, "Oh, I feel depressed," or, "I'm hearing voice." No, getting to know the person behind the symptoms.
mm, mm,
Me and you's life is the same
mm,
life. People who have mental illnesses, and it's not just one. It's just like, they have a life, they have family. And sometimes just hearing, and this is where my passion now is about getting the information to parents, because many people, we through your training, you do general from childhood and I did geriatric. But in my practice, I limited it from 15 upwards. Okay. The book says mental illnesses, average onset is 14. More
Mm.
and more people will tell you they were sitting in elementary school, you know, age 8, 9, 10, and the things they're going through, nobody asked them. And it's, oh, they're not paying attention, you're not focusing, but nobody asks. So it's so painful that by the time they come to you as an adult, they've been suffering
For so
and
many years,
many
yes.
years. And my, when I see many people I see, they come to me for the problem at the time. But I end up saying, do you know you are a hero? And they go,
Mm.
what? I said, not everybody survives what you just told me. There are many, they just haven't thought about it that way. And they've told me their story, and not everybody. You wonder, could you have survived it? So I'm inspired by my patients, by people around. Um, the books you see at the back, every one of them is a book by somebody. I'm always inspired. When my children are young, they say I'm getting inspired even by commercials. So something will go in a commercial and they go, don't do it, don't ruin it, don't ruin it, because I'm going to start, you see, so I continue to be. So I'm inspired by you
Oh,
because I can tell you people who my patients, people have been asking me to write my books since the 90s.
mm,
But I
mm.
I have all written things. It's in my documents. So I am inspired by you.
You know what? We have to get offline and think about some strategies, to because I know you are a busy person. There's definitely strategies out there to make that possible. We must do it because I think that the beauty of it is that you are leaving behind wisdom for the next generation. And you do it so much. And I think what I love about you is you truly love what you do. It's not just a job, it's a
Mhm,
calling.
mhm.
And I think that when I look at you, that's what I aspire to really find that which, I believe that we're all born to accomplish something with a purpose.
Yeah.
Find that and then follow it through.
Mhm,
I truly
mhm.
just love that. I admire that, about you. So God
And
bless you.
there's people, and it's a blessing to also have people who will, all my how I left one thing out. How did I get into private practice? Which, you know, I was in private practice till 4 years ago, so that's 25 years plus. Again, at the time of finishing my residency at the University of Maryland, I knew I was going to work in one of the state hospitals, which many people from University of Maryland do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a job freeze in the
Mm-hmm.
state. And so here is it. I can't. My husband said, well, I know, you can do it. Let's let's get an office. So again, it wasn't planned. And that's giving me being able to follow people. It's like a family. I've seen some people and their children and clusters of family, and that's what gets me. I'm convinced because I have clusters. One person came, they understood, family saw the improvement in quality of life,
Mm-hmm.
and they told others. And I've done church talks in church since the 90s before the internet came. And it's from my patients saying, come, let's talk. I'm sure, some people in my church, and then one thing to another. And again, that's what my why is, what overcomes my social anxiety.
I feel like your gift beyond the accolades as a clinician, truly the gift is loving people, the ability to connect with people, this is what I love about you, the ability to see people, their humanity, and not just the illness. And I think that's
Mhm,
important. You
mhm,
know,
mhm. And
yeah.
it's a bless. It's like I say, it's a blessing. I since just before, since you invited me on, I've looked back again. I said, what in my childhood? I remember I've always been a hugger.
Mm,
I'm hugging. Some patients will not leave my office unless the hug is there. I have to remember, okay, you have to tone it down. I'm a people person, So again, it's sometimes what you have or what you are may not always work for where you are, where you get into. So again, it's a blessing when it fits. It's a fit. It's not,
mm-hmm,
sometimes it's not that this aspect of you is good or bad. It's does it fit the situation? And I joke that if I was born in the Freud era, I probably won't have a job because we
Freud
didn't
would have been too restrictive for
talk
you.
exactly. So I wouldn't make it. But I mean, there are that it's real people, and being able to have done what I've done. Also, I have to thank my family, especially my children. They've all worked in my office. I'm sure you know that working for yourself, that the administrative part is another story.
Oh my.
So every every one of my children has worked in my office, and actually my son Kofi, when he first came to my office, they were like in middle school. At the end, she said, "Mommy, I think you should bring more children here. Everybody we met is like an auntie and uncle." Because before then, the idea, the stigmatizing beliefs of who goes to a psychiatrist,
Mm-hmm,
and it
mm-hmm,
was a good shock. And
mm-hmm.
since then, they are friends. I mean, my husband said it's taken a village to do the administrative work, but that's been helpful. So many people have supported and continue to support. Otherwise, I couldn't.
Absolutely. So, as mental health professionals, you and I have both experienced that the last year and a half has seen a huge, just a uptake in the need for mental health services. What message do you have today for all the hope mongers listening?
If you look behind me, the JADA,
Mm-hmm.
JADA,
Mm-hmm.
communication, people were thrown, they still loved each other, but many people had not stayed under the same roof for hours or days or months on end.
On
And
end.
so there were problems, relationship problems. At the beginning, um, we in the Ghana Physicians Association were encouraged to come out with something. So I came up with just ask, don't assume.
Hmm.
And my one of my grannies, they designed that. So the Jada movement,
The Jada movements.
Jada movement. But it's important because most of the time we assume we know why someone did something. And
Mm-hmm.
then we respond by what we think, they are thinking when nobody can read our mind. So it's not assuming, knowing that we can read anybody's mind and ask it. Did you
Mm-hmm.
mean this? I think this. Did you mean because battles, relationships have been broken and, just for assuming. And that's also one thing I learned from my practice. You see people who have been married for 40, 50 years. And sometimes when they are talking, the same issues that happened like 30 years ago is the same because they haven't they haven't learned to ask, to explore, and they love
Mm,
each other.
mm.
That's again that's something I learning, but no, sometimes people think because you are a therapist, I'm a psychiatrist, that we know it all. No, learning
Absolutely
doesn't
not.
mean I am still I'm still a work of art. I'm still working on
You
it.
know, one thing I've always been saying is that until the day God calls me home, I hope I learn something new every single day. I hope become a
Mm-hmm.
better person every
Mm-hmm.
single day. The
Mm-hmm.
learning doesn't stop, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then back to what you were saying with your jada, you know, it reminds me of the saying, one saying that I really stand by: seek first to understand.
Mm-hmm.
If we truly seek first to understand and then truly take a moment to listen, so much of the things, many of the things that cause conflicts, I think can be resolved, you know, without us really just getting into a place of distress. So I do like that.
That's
And I,
so true.
yes, and I think it applies also to if you recognize that a loved one seems not themselves, ask them, how are
Yes,
you feeling? How are you
exactly.
doing? You know?
Exactly. Don't assume, just because my face shows, and that happens for, especially in our profession,
Yes.
oh, this person was smiling, they have powder on their face and all that, so they couldn't be depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. So very true. So thanks so much. So here at Hope Mongers, you know, our focus is all things hope. So my next question for you is this: how would you define hope? That's the first one. And the second one, what do you hope for the world that we live in today?
Well, when I think hope, the next word that comes to me is faith.
Mm,
You can't just say hope if you don't have belief
mm-hmm,
something, and I think about what you and I do. If someone has expresses suicide thoughts, I always say if we put everybody who has suicide thoughts in the hospital, there won't be any beds left. You and I have to do suicide risk assessment. And one of the things is not only the risk, but the protective factors.
mm-hmm,
And one of the questions is reason for living.
mm-hmm,
you know so each person is different. What is it that you believe? Some people will say, oh, my children, I know they need me. Oh, my um whatever it is, if it's my Christian faith. And it's interesting hearing, and I'll tell you a story about that, because there's a couple of patients, they said, oh, I know that I think about it, but I won't kill myself, because if I die, I won't go to heaven.
mm,
Well, whether you as a therapist, whether you believe it or not, that's that person's faith, that you want to expand on it, you want to remind them. So I think about hope, having faith, and hopefully that every one of us can have something that we can hold on to. Sometimes people will say, oh, look at all the people surrounding you. It's not the people surrounding you, it's whether you believe that those people care about you. It's our belief. So that's how I see
So a
hope.
lifeline, the way you
Yes,
are described, hope is a lifeline. I love that
yes,
metaphor
yes,
of hope being
yes,
a
yes,
lifeline. Find that
yes.
thing, hold
Mm-hmm.
on to it, grasp onto it.
Yes, yes. And that's what, your family, many things, and it's
Mm-hmm.
different from for everybody.
Right.
So it's exploring that person's, helping them expand on that, because there will always be something, in my life. Talking about what I think you asked about, one of the challenges I had.
Mm.
Um, I I had a bash, 60th birthday bash. So you know that's 11 years ago. Dance for 5 hours.
Hold up. That was 11 years ago. So that means that Auntie Jemima is at the golden age of 70 plus one.
You know why I
Amazing.
call it 70 plus one?
Why do you call it 70 plus one?
My birthday is okay. So my birthday is in June. I won't say when in June. Well, I said it on LinkedIn, June 10th. So,
Ah, wow. Happy
so
belated happy
thank you.
birthday.
So last year, my husband knows I love to dance. Not that I have
Mhm.
the knees for it, but I will still dance. So
We shall wrap the knees. And
we made all these elaborate arrangements to have this bash in an event center. And by February, March, all arrangements were done.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened.
Mm.
And I started having a different conversation with my maker. And I said,
Mm.
God, forget about the party. Please just let me see that day. So
Wow.
2 days before then, he said, okay, so what will we do? I said, did God tell you something that I don't know about? So that's why I go 70 plus one.
70
Because
plus 1.
now I am so, I'm so thankful that I saw
Mm.
it and he's giving me another one. So
Mm.
that's, but after my 60th birthday, then I had a few weeks later, a month later, I had surgery on my left knee and I couldn't walk again for the next 4 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you know it if you see me. And now after I finish all my dancing, then that's finished. So I had surgery upon surgery and
Mm.
the compassion from my patients. You know,
Mm.
yeah, they saw me in crutches and knees and and sometimes it was a challenge and
Mm.
again, so have to hold on something. And, one of my patients who saw me through then, later on, she was getting blind. And she came one day and she said, the doctor said I'm going blind, but I've never been on a cruise and I'm going to the Bahamas. I hope God let me see the water before I go blind. If
Oh,
this is not an inspiration, what is it? She
yes.
is going blind and she's not bitter.
Yes.
I hope God let me see the water they say is green. So I get a lot of inspiration. And when I said to her that, you know what? You are my inspiration. You are a hero. She said, oh, you are the first hero when you couldn't walk and you had all those crutches. You came to still see us in the office. She wasn't even thinking maybe the doctor needs money. That's why she's coming. So it's the mindset is so
Mm.
important,
It
how we
is.
think about things and the fact that we can modify it. So every single day, I'm hoping that I can be better the next day.
And a couple of things I picked up was number one, even when you were, recuperating and having challenges with your own knee, the fact that you had, literally built up a storehouse of compassion towards your patients. What you give is what you get back. So you got a lot of that back. And I think that's important for life. The second thing I picked up from your story is that attitude of gratitude. I have a feeling that whenever you dance, you are grateful. Am I right? And then I also picked up is that, yeah, 70, planning a huge bash, and then COVID comes. Did you grumble? No. You changed your strategy. Lord, you know what? Let me see that day and continue to be grateful to this day. So, I mean, I love that. I absolutely love that. And what you give in life, I think what you reap is what you sow, I guess that the Bible says. And I
I
see
think
that happening.
it's
Mhm.
all going back to my mother.
Right, right. A blessed woman, a very blessed woman. So this has been such an inspiring conversation. And there's a show I listen to on Sundays on NPR. It's called Growing Bolder, and you embody that. And what it is, it profiles individuals in their golden years who could probably just say, all right, I'm going to sit home and put my feet up. But no, they continue to be active, they continue to have impact, they continue to just live their best life, they continue to grow, but grow bolder. You're an embodiment of that. And I hope everybody listening can had a peek by standing on your shoulders to see what is possible when we love what we do, when we do our best at what we do, when we truly see the humanity in people, and then use all of our skills and talents and bring it in, into our purpose, good things happen. So God bless you for that. This has been
Thank you so
inspiring.
much for having me. And every one of this helps my social anxiety. And all of you out there, some people will say, no, not you. It's your why that, the fact that I thought if one person will benefit, that's my
Yes,
responsibility.
yes. So it wasn't that this all came easy. You have to, sometimes
No.
battle social anxiety
Oh,
to make
yeah.
it happen. God bless you for standing up and challenging that social anxiety, working it through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you. And thank you
Doctor.
for all that you're doing. The hope. Hope.
Thank you. Indeed, it's important. And thank you for all that you are doing. Just a compassionate face, seeing the humanity in
Thank you.
people.
Thank
I
you.
think at least with the two of us, we can do our bit to change the world. Not
Oh
so?
yes, yes. Every little helps. You know, I'll show you. I don't know if you can see this, but this it says.
Hmm.
I don't know if it says something about don't underestimate um,
The difference
the
you
difference that you
made
make.
and the lives that you touched. Wow.
I don't know who sent this. Came in the mail about 2 years ago. I've been asking. I don't know who. I stopped
Wow.
asking and I said maybe God made somebody so that just send everybody know that you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a therapist. Each
Hmm.
person can make a difference. Just asking somebody, "Oh, how are you?" or how just something. Especially in this pandemic, we find that
Yes. Hmm.
just you are in line. No, how are you doing? Good morning. It goes a long way.
A smile, asking somebody how they are doing. We should never underestimate the power
Mm-hmm,
we have to just make
mm-hmm,
somebody's day, and by
mm-hmm.
so doing, change the world.
Yeah.
That is something I'll take with me. I love
Mm-hmm,
that. I
mm-hmm.
love that. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Jemima Kankam, psychiatrist, mother, grandmother, wife extraordinaire, and all that she does. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hopemongers podcast with Abaketo Anda.